home to yours. Welcome to EMS at Sea Level. Today's guest is Vincent Dubois, CEO and co-founder of Cogiscan. Before we get into the questions, Vincent, can you give me a quick overview for our viewers on yourself and Cogiscan?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me to your show, basically. Yeah, I can give you a brief overview. Cogiscan is. Cogiscan was founded in '99, and what we do at Cogiscan is help electronics manufacturers to digitalize their operations, basically. So, we have a variety of software solutions, and our goal with these solutions is help our customers save money and reduce waste, put simply. The way we do that, and Phil, you've known us you've been following us for a little while, so you would know that we truly believe in collaboration. So we work closely with different machine and software suppliers to the industry, and this enables us to connect all the pieces of the puzzle or all the pieces of the factory together to offer the best solution for our customers. And of course, through these collaboration, we've developed what I would call the most complete portfolio of machine and enterprise software connections. So if you combine that with the different solutions we offer, such as traceability or control or analytics solution, we can really help our customer achieve their goals of cost saving and waste reduction. But also help them create this seamless digital thread of their operations. So we've been dreaming of this since the inception of the company more than 20 years ago, and this is where we've been going over the past years.
Yeah, and it's exciting to be celebrating that 20 years, but it felt like for the first 5 or so, you were quite ahead of your time. But it feels like the world's catching up. But let's park digital transformation just for a moment, and we'll come back to that. What I wanted to explore initially was how this whole pandemic has played out for you and for your customers, starting back in late January, early February, through to where we are today. So talk me through the kind of timeline and what Cogiscan has seen.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this pandemic was disruptive for all industries, or most industries, probably all industries and everywhere in the world. So our industry was not safe from this disruption. Maybe I can talk a little bit of our customer base first, what we saw from them. Of course, we're selling to the electronics industry, so all of our customers are either building electronics product or components, or they're making equipment for that industry, because we work a lot with the machine vendors. And what we saw really varies from region to region. And we sell on all continents, and this pandemic started, of course, in China, but went to different continents a few times. So Europe before North America, as an example. So these geographic specificities we saw, but also depending on the products that our customers were manufacturing. So in some cases, what we saw, and this is probably second half of March, some of our customers were expanding their capacity. A lot of them were reducing, so they were still operating, but at a reduced rate. But I would say that even a few customers had to shut down their factories for a little while. The bright side to this is, as of today, and I don't know if that's what you're seeing as well, but we really see that the level of activity is coming back from our region. Of course, there's a few exceptions, but this is really coming back slowly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have seen that fairly surprisingly immediate bounce back for me. I think when I heard the pundits talking about a V-shaped recovery, I was a little bit skeptical, but we do seem to be seeing a recovery in demand as well as the supply chain settling down as particularly as China gets back online, which is where a lot of the kind of tier two and the lower level electronic manufacturing supply chain exists. Were a lot of your customers involved in the fight against COVID and hence had that essential status? Is that what kept them open and in some cases increased demand?
Yeah, definitely in different product, and it could be the fight against COVID, or just think of, look at this interview we're doing remotely. So, companies building servers were quite
Yeah.
solicited as well. They had to have capacity during that time. So.
Yeah, and when you look at it from your company's point of view, what does that meant in terms of the solutions you had to offer? Have you had to respond to urgent or specific changes, or has it meant that some people have needed more seats, some people have needed less? There's been changes there. How's it impacted you specifically?
Yeah, no, definitely it had an impact on us as well. And well, first of all, as we do have employees in China, and saw it coming very early in January, and even Chinese New Year, one of our employees went to Wuhan to visit his family, and he got stuck there for weeks and weeks after that. The good thing is, before this pandemic, we were already equipped to work remotely. So for us, we could continue operation and support our customers almost seamlessly, if you wish, and also continue the other operations such as the development of our product, since we always reinvest in our product. But I'd say that an important change for us was the implementation and startup of our systems. Again, our customers, we install our software in their factories, and typically we go in the factory to do that. Yes, we did do some work remotely, but the startup was always in the factory. Now everything needed to be executed remotely. The good thing is we were working on this before the crisis, but I would say that not all customers were comfortable with that until now. And if you look at it, at the end of the day, everybody wins. I mean, it's less cost for our customer, it's more flexibility, less time spent in planes and hotels, and all that.
Yeah, and it's sustainable. It's environmentally more friendly, isn't it? And I think that's really important. I actually interviewed a sustainability specialist on this show on Friday, and we were talking about that environmental impact. And I've traveled less than I've ever traveled. This is the longest I've been in one country in the last 30 years. So the first time I think I've done more than 4 successive months without getting on an aeroplane. And I was asked whether whether I plan to go back to my normal schedule of travel, and the answer is no. I'd like to see us do more of this, and it works. And what you say about remote installation, I think, is really, really valuable. I've actually seen some automation companies that are delivering robotics almost flat pack to get people to install them remotely, and I think it's probably a good benefit. When you look at this short-term thing, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it's quite a change, and I just want to go back to what you said about sustainability, because one of our core value is what we call our impact value, and what we say when we talk about that value is not only want to have a concrete impact on the efficiency for our customers, but we also talk about the environment. So really that's why we're already working on this before the pandemic. But going, continuing on this remote implementation, it also led us to rethink of the services we're giving to our customers, and it let us add some services, added value services in our service package for our customers. You know, one example that comes to mind is what we call the Cogiscan health check. So, you know, from now on, our customers will get an analysis based on their individual needs and requirements, and they would get like a complete system review, recommendation how to optimize the usage of the system. So again, start working remotely, you can offer much more easily these kind of services that are value added to the customer. It's much easier to do.
Yeah, and I think that's it. That's exciting to be taking that proactive approach as well with the solutions you have, because software is, you know, by nature, it can operate remotely, and it can be visible remotely, and you can look at different dashboards to the customers and, you know, aggregate data and all those kind of things. So that's exciting, I think, and very, very valuable going forward.
Exactly.
What I wanted to explore was kind of where we are in the kind of moving forward timeline. So we've gone through, I think, a lot of the urgent stage has gone through. The second phase we seem to be in now, which is this recovery, and it's interesting to see the speed at which people are recovering. And as you say, I think it's in many cases better than we expected. What do you see as the kind of medium and long-term changes for your business and for your customers as a result of the pandemic?
Well, a few things. You know, we talked about the remote factor, so this will come more and more. And as I said, this was already part of our plans. One other thing is we're really seeing that this pandemic is pushing towards digitalization. You know, our customers see that the effect of being digitalized can help them pivot much more quickly if they have to, let's say, change the kind of product they build or change location for some of their product. And it you know, when you have this digital thread in place, it all starts with the visibility you have on what you do, where you do it, how you do it, and everything. So right now, like on our part, we're working on something, and again, we've encapsulated that in what we call our simplification effort. And actually, it's something we've accelerated through the pandemic, as some of our team members were a little less associated, so they were able to spend more time and this simplification on this simplification. And this simplification is basically simplifying the whole customer experience from finding us all the way to installing and using our system. I can maybe give you a concrete example of what we're doing. You know, it's you know, this example, we call it our Connect Hub. And this is for our connectivity solutions, so our machine-to-machine and machine-to-systems and humans solutions. And the hub basically is, you know, you can view it as a web page, but it should help our customer not only find us, but understand quickly our capabilities and even demo some of our Connect adapters for a free trial period. And you know, we do believe it's going to be very appealing to customers that have customer connectivity or any digitalization needs, because they need to start with that connectivity. And if we combine this with something else we're working on, and I will call it connectivity as a service business model, it really starts making sense, and it really starts being attractive for customer having just one machine to connect or to try, or all the way to the multinational that wants to connect all of their factories together and have this global visibility. So this is something we've been able to accelerate, and this is how we see the future, which is quite exciting. So hopefully we can tell you and show you actually some of this as soon as this fall, after
Yeah.
summer. So.
Well, and that's going to be interesting as well, because you're going to have the opportunity to not only tell me about it, but demonstrate it to me remotely as well, rather than the face-to-face that we've often done before at trade shows. But absolutely, you know, I'm an advocate of simplicity and that whole connectivity side of things, because it is that foundation for digital transformation, and it is the first stage people need to get through. And if there are barriers to that, then it makes the rest of the process seem overwhelming, and it shouldn't be. It should be about building block by block and getting return on investment on each block you build. When you look at the digital transformation, for me, it's something that's been happening for some time. And typically, a crisis like this doesn't create demand, but it accelerates demand. Do you think that's what's happening right now with the pandemic? Is it accelerating the desire and the need for digital transformation?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you know, as I said previously, this pandemic really showed the value of having digitalized operations, and I said, just starting with good visibility on your operations, um, and again, if you have to. You know, in this pandemic, maybe some new product needed to be built in reaction to it, or maybe some factories were shutting down. You had to transfer. So all of this really showed the value of digitalization, and again, as I said, our solution is at the base of this digital transformation. So we're really in a good place
Yeah.
you know, to come back with hopefully, and I don't know if it's going to be a V curve or not, but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be on that curve. So.
Yeah, yeah, and it's clear there's absolute demand there for both digital transformation, but also for the technology to find its way into more and more products. We're seeing more and more robotics in healthcare. We're seeing more and more demand in different areas, and we need that agility and adaptability in the supply chain, and that can only come with the ability to see what's going on in real time. So that transformation becomes important. It's also become important in the way we run our businesses and even in our private lives. How have you managed to keep the team together, and how have the team coped during the lockdown? You've got people working remotely all over the world. You've got a team there in Canada, which I guess a lot of them were dispersed back home. How have you kept everybody motivated and informed?
Yeah, that's a good question, and thanks for asking it actually, because you know, our company is really focused on people. Actually, you know, I was talking about the impact value earlier. One other value that comes before it is well-being. You know, well-being is part of our core value. So it was very important to make sure that you know, the team was coping with it and everything. But you know, and as you said, we have people around the world, and more specifically in Canada, we had to ask people to work from home, and not everyone reacted or adapted the same, as realities are different from individual to individual. It could be a single parent, or young kids at home, or living alone, or whatever the situation is. So what we did is we really adapted to the reality of each, and basically we offered different solutions tailored to needs. So some people asked for reduced hours, or some days off, or specific help, or things like that, and we were able to help them in this when this really helped the team to go through this. On top of that, of course, we had more meetings, virtual meetings, as
Yeah.
you can So more town hall meetings. We even had virtual lunches or happy hours, and this was quite fun actually. And you know, it's kind of funny because everybody was from home, but actually in the end, it got some people closer together. People that typically do not have a lot of opportunities to work together.
Yeah.
Uh, Now they were, in that same virtual room, and some people got to know each other, whereas they didn't have the chance to do that before. So
Yeah, that's really encouraging, isn't it? And I think it's one of those times where that communication and communication and collaboration, which I know are part of your whole strategy, becomes really important. The other thing that's really important is leadership at the moment, and you've got a very consistent leadership team, three co-founders working together for more than 20 years. It's really important that people step up as leaders right now and communicate with their staff, but also with their customers and with their whole ecosystem. Is that something that you felt you were well equipped to do, because you do have that core of the team of three there?
yeah, definitely. And when this hit us, the first thing we did is we got together, the three of us, but also the management team as a whole, and we were able to really put a plan together on what the next step should be. And again, part of that plan, the first thing was the people. So our team, our customers, our partners, how are they? Do they need help? Where should we go? So this was really the first focus for us, is reaching out to all of these people and making sure that they were okay.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. It's hugely important. And when you look at it from a personal point of view, Vincent, you've got all those wonderful restaurants and that great culture there in Montreal, and all that's closed off to you. What are you doing to keep yourself entertained? Are you binging on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Apple TV? What are you doing to stay sane yourself at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we had to forget about the restaurants for a while. Binging is, I mean, I'm not I don't watch so much TV, so I
Hmm.
didn't binge for a while. But you know what? I'm quite lucky to be here in a place where there's a lot of outdoors activities. So.
Mm.
And I do like going outdoors, but of course, unfortunately, the ski season had to end quite abruptly.
Prematurely, yeah.
Yeah, never mind that. I was able to get my gravel bike out and my mountain bike out, and spending a good amount of my free time riding one of these bicycles, basically.
That's
Um,
good.
but I did actually. I was telling you I didn't binge at all, and it's not totally true. And I don't know if you know these short adventure movies through a Banff Film Festival.
Okay,
Uh,
no.
I mean, if you have a chance to go see some of these, they're just beautiful. And what they did is on their website they released a few of them. So
Okay,
yeah, I did watch some of these short movies for a little
watch some
while.
of that. That's good
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, and before we wrap up, what advice would you give to your peers? What advice would you give to other CEOs in the EMS industry from what you've learned over the last few months?
Hmm. That's a good question. I'm not sure I can give a lot of advice, but maybe I can share what works for me. Um, you know, as I said earlier, the first thing that will come to my mind personally is the people. So making sure they're okay, making sure they continue to be okay. So not only thinking of what to do first, but also communication, staying in touch with them. So again, I was talking about these more frequent town hall meetings
Mm.
where people can ask questions, we can have these conversation. But also, the other thing I can talk about is, and maybe I'm too much of an optimistic, but I always see opportunities in any situation. So, in our case, it was an opportunity to accelerate some of our strategic initiatives, like we talked earlier. And I mean, in some cases, we've taken projects that were planned for 6 to 12 months, all the way down to a couple of months. So we really able to move much faster. And that's not just because some people had more time, but it's also because the customers and everyone is more open to new ideas. So you can test them out and try that. But, and maybe, you know what, you asked me about advice, and maybe I do have one. And it's probably, the only real advice I can give is taking care of yourself. We about leadership, and oftentimes, we think that leaders have to be like these invincible people that can break down any wall or whatever. Well, we're all human basically, and in order to be, on your A game, you need to take care of yourself, and that you do have vulnerabilities, that you need to be surrounded by people that can complement you, and and that's probably why I spend so much time, my free time, outdoors
on your mountain bike. Yeah, it's good for the soul, isn't it? And it's good for that general wellness. I like very much what you said. I like the thought that humanity is a real key element of it. But I love the optimism and the fact that you can take it as an opportunity to accelerate programs and rethink things. And I think people are open to new ideas right now, and it's a good opportunity to make the most of that. Vincent, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your candor. I've really enjoyed our conversation. And until next time on EMS at Sea Level, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Phil.